Welcome back to Inside the Factory. Today I'm pumped. We got a special guest, Coach Nick Rowlett. Nick's been very active with us over the past couple of years. He's played in both the NLL, the PLL, fellow Big Ten face-off specialist of the year. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Thanks for having me. Pumped to be here.
Just to kick us off, what are your thoughts on kind of the NCAA tournament, the selection show? Any teams you think they missed on?
Yeah, definitely Michigan. Maybe a little bit biased there. But no, I think they did a decent job. I mean, you got to give the tournament winners their spot. I thought Army might have snuck in at one point. But I mean, just from top to bottom, and I think Maryland maybe got ranked a little too high. Yeah. Especially after Ohio State just kind of ran the Big Ten like towards the end of the season and then just smoked the Big Ten tournament as well. So hard to put them in the 4th spot, but I'm not in charge, so maybe they saw something I didn't.
Yeah, I think obviously logistics play a factor in where lacrosse is at for the tournament, but like no way Notre Dame and Ohio State should be playing in the first round, in my opinion. I also think like Army did have that big win against UNC. Like if UNC wins the ACC, maybe we're having a different conversation. But like their out of conference schedule wasn't great. The Patriot League has a ton of teams, so they play a very heavy conference schedule. And, Colgate got hot at the end of the year and kind of stole that AQ from them. So it's kind of tough. It's tough because I really like Will Coletti's game on Army. I'd love to see him kind of go up, as them being an unseeded team playing one of the big dogs from the ACC or Big Ten in the first round. It would have been a great face-off matchup for the face-off fans out there like you and I. So I do think that was a miss. But otherwise, I mean, what face-off matchups are you excited for in the first round?
The one that's standing out to me is that game we kind of touched on, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I mean, Oldman has been dominant all year. He's different than Will Lynch, though. Oldman's really technical. He's really good off the ground versus Will Lynch is going to be physical. He's scrappy as heck, and he's going to come up with loose ones that you don't expect him to. So not only I think that might be like the highlight game in this first round, I think that might be the best face-off matchup as well. Another one that I was looking at is if the freshman from Siena.
I'm looking at that matchup too.
Yeah, he's had a killer year, and I think both against Albany and against Cornell, he'll really get tested. But those two are the ones that stand out to me the most as far as the face-off matchups themselves. I mean, Duke and Georgetown, they got a little bit of history there.
Yeah.
Both operating by, or at least Duke is kind of operating by committee a little bit this year. But for the face-off matchups, I think Ohio State and Notre Dame is going to be my go-to to watch.
Yeah, UNC Richmond I think could be sneaky good. Like Richmond's they kind of got hot in the A10. Obviously, the High Point kid Luca Akato is really good too. So like they were under 50 in their conference championship. We'll see how they bounce back against Wambach, who's had a really strong year. I'm curious to see if Johnny Mullen from Hughes continues his domination. He was awesome in the ACC tournament and gave them a huge boost. We'll see if he can be kind of an X factor for those guys. Like I'm hopeful that the Harvard kids, 2 of them I've coached, can figure it out because like that's been an Achilles heel for that team. Like they snuck in, they're gonna have a tough matchup. Like we'll see how those guys do. I do think like Cascadon is kind of my dark horse. I've been saying it for a few weeks now. Like he has 9 goals. He dominated the Ivy League tournament. He's physical. He's big. He exits well.
Huge. Yeah, he's big. I played against him my grad year. And I didn't really know him that well because I think he was a freshman or sophomore at the time. I was like, who the heck? And he wasn't even their starter. They had Angelo Petrakis.
Yeah.
But he popped out and Cascadon came in and I was like, who is this big dude? But no, yeah, I've been watching him this year. I mean, it's hard not to watch the number 1 seed, but yeah, he's been dominant for them and a huge part of their success as well.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of interesting matchups. I think it's going to be pretty exciting lacrosse. The first round I think is like the best action like in any tournament, like hoops, lacrosse. You get the most amount of games. They're condensed into one weekend. Like it's going to be a ton of lacrosse. The play-in games are coming up, tomorrow. between Robert Morris and Air Force. Robert Morris's Bo Columbus has had a really good year. Air Force is similar to Army in the sense that like they're always scrapping. They're really tough. You're going to get good wing play. It's going to be physical. So like I do like those two playing games. Albany Siena features two of our students and Logan Bannock and Rocco Moreno. Then the Air Force Robert Morris matchup should be really good too. But yes, Syracuse they cleaned Harvard the first time around when they played face-off wise, but Harvard won the game. So we'll see if they can kind of flip the script, but that should be a really interesting one. Are there any other units maybe that didn't make the tournament that you enjoyed watching this year?
Yeah, I think we touched on it. Army, just Coletti's a stud. Kind of tough to see him go out in the regular season. I was kind of working with the Boston boys a little bit, just because my brother coaches there, and I know that they've been bouncing between a few guys, but overall they've been fun to watch.
Madden Murphy got really hot down the stretch. He's got good hands. I know he's formerly committed to Princeton. You know, one of their assistants comes to our Monday sessions just to learn and kind of give them some stuff to do during the week. Like they did well down the stretch. Colgate obviously got the better of them in the conference tournament face-off wise, but they're a fun team to follow.
Yeah. Speaking of Colgate, I feel like Colgate always plays Penn State close. So that's none of these first round matchups are gimme, you know. I think Richmond plays UNC tough all the time. Penn State plays Colgate. They always play it close. So it'll be exciting. Princeton Towson is going to be an interesting one just because that's not a matchup that you see a lot in the regular season. Two very different styles of just play. I feel like Towson plays pretty fast and physical, and Princeton is a little bit more skilled, savvy. But gonna see the Baltimore boys clash with the guys Ivy League guys up north. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, other units I've kind of liked, you know, Vermont's had a great year. They have two guys who did really well with Henry Dodge and Walter Zhao. Those guys were studs. OJ Morris at Delaware had an awesome season. Bo Columbus from Robert Morris is actually third in win percentage. So we'll see how he does against Air Force and if they're able to get by what that test with Maryland looks like. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun for this first round. I'm excited for it. What was it like playing at Michigan? Obviously, you guys were lucky enough to win the Big Ten, go to the tournament, make a little run. Like what can you tell the people about, like, you know, the conference championships, how the level is elevated, and then NCAA, how the level is even further elevated?
So lots to unfold in that question. As far as my time at Michigan, kind of got to see the full roller coaster of my first couple of years. You know, we weren't that good. We were never ranked. We were lucky to beat one or two ranked teams a year. We would drop games we should have won, but just kind of like building that chemistry, building that connection throughout. And my grad year, we were able to win the Big Ten tournament and beat Cornell in the first round of the NCAAs and kind of push past that hurdle that we could never seem to get by. So it was a blast just seeing the program develop. And I mean, since I've left, they've been making noise. So I love seeing that. But as far as like my time at Michigan, I'm super thankful. Playing in the Big Ten tournament is definitely special, you know, because Big Ten, in my opinion, is super physical lacrosse. You know, ACC, I feel like those guys are skilled. They play really sharp lacrosse, but Big Ten, you get the biggest dudes. You know, all those guys are gorillas out there. Our kind of mindset going into the Big Ten tournament was like, hey, especially the teams that we beat, we're like, hey, where teams go wrong in the tournament is when they try to change everything. You know, let's stick to our course. Let's stick to our route. We've gotten better as the season goes on, and we're playing our best lacrosse headed into the Big Ten tournament. No need to change everything. Let's just get really good at what we do. So it's funny. I was actually just not too long ago texting with some of my teammates about the tournament now that all this rankings and the bracket has come out. But our first round matchup was against Penn State, and I think the final score was like 17-15. There was almost 40 faceoffs that game. So definitely something that we might see in one of these other matchups. But the Big Ten tournament is special. You know, it's always at one location, and usually the where they host it, there's fans from all over coming. You know, it travels well. So that's a lot of fun. And then I'd never been in the NCAA tournament before my grad year, you know, because that was the first time we got an opportunity. But we were kind of had that dark horse mentality the whole year. And after beating a couple ranked teams and then sweeping the Big Ten tournament, we kind of loved how we still had an away game, just still maintaining that dark horse mentality. So we went up to Ithaca, New York, to take on the current #1 seed, and we're able to break him down. And then we ran into this guy named Brennan O'Neill in the second round, and he kind of did his thing. But no, it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world, you know. Still to this day, I'm talking about memories. So those will be lifelong.
Yeah, and you guys almost had Duke in that second round until Brennan got hot.
Yeah, Brendan O'Neill tends to do that. But now I'm thankful to call him a teammate in the NLL. So it's good to have him on my side for once.
Yeah, any college guys out there that are listening, what's your advice for like them trying to make the jump into the PLL or NLL? Obviously, you know, the NLL's gone a little more heavy in terms of bringing in American face-off guys. You've been part of that surge. It's been a cool transition, like from, you know, your first year and my first year. Like, you know, there wasn't a ton of face-off guys. You kind of get some gimme matchups. Now it's like every week you're battling somebody good. What was making the jump like in either league?
Yeah. And I'll start with the PLL just because that came first in my career. But I was fortunate enough to be able to not only have my brother as someone who'd been in that league, but then he's on my team too. So I kind of had a little bit of a resource to reach out to, chat with, just to figure out what that would look like. The one thing that kind of surprised me about making that jump from college into the PLL was like coming out of college, I was in the best shape ever. I show up to camp thinking like I'm going to get smoked, and I'm fast, you know, I'm quick, I'm able to move. Both like my stick skills are still good because I've been practicing for 3 hours a day the last 8 months, you know. The thing is like you may be athletic, but the guys who have been there for a while are so skilled and so technical, like don't take a false step. You know, like, and then as far as the face-off matchup in the PLL, you got guys who have just been there before. They come in confident, where I'm trying to still to this day trying to make a name for myself. And it's crazy because I feel like sometimes you see college get a little bit more media traction than pro, but it's crazy how different it is, and how much like people are still invested. So definitely having a ton of fun still working on things. You know, I'm big on you can never master a skill. You can always get better. So that jump has been a lot of fun. Still on my rookie contract. So hopefully the chaos we can make a little bit of noise in the playoffs this year. But yeah, and then as far as the NLL goes, it's a little different. I think a lot of it's less hand speed and more kind of timing it. You're not reacting to necessarily a sound. You're reacting to a feel, you know, you're just trying to feel
the visual.
Yeah, because it's so loud in there. Sometimes you can't even hear when they say set. So that's interesting, you know. I mean, I was a guy who played very, I'll say, Americanized box. You know, we're not setting moving screens. We're not running like zone defense as much as you do in the indoor league. So it's a big learning curve, still learning. But the one thing that, like, if I could speak to any of these younger guys, is that like both in the PLL and in the NLL, teams would rather have a guy who has stick skills and can play maybe a little bit of offense and a little bit of defense than someone who's dominant but can only face off and is one-dimensional. So it's been a fun jump so far, you know, obviously still taking it all in, but yeah, no, that's been kind of the goal moving forward, is just find a piece after every season of where I need to improve and just work on it in the short off season we get.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, Nick's somebody who works another job outside of lacrosse. He's obviously still really active coaching. And, like, you know, in our first talks with him, I told him it's a great way to stay involved, to keep taking reps, to continue to challenge yourself. For like, how do you balance, you know, still training, but having other responsibilities?
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I'm still working on. It's my days are pretty packed tight. You know, if I'm if I'm not working out in the morning, I'm working out until it's dinner time, and then it's time for bed. I call it like I work all the time, because even after my 9 to 5, when I'm in the gym or I'm at the field, I call that work,
It
because
is work.
taking care of your body, improving your game is how you can continue your lacrosse career. So I'm a full-time employee, just 24/7 is how kind of how I like to think about it. But obviously that first transition as I was starting this job it was tough, taking off. My girlfriend hates it because all my leave days just go to travel.
Right.
But you essentially just got to find a way. I mean, I love lacrosse. I've always loved lacrosse, and if you love it enough, you're going to find a way to make it work. At least for as long as I can. It's kind of the plan, but definitely is tough. I mean, we've lost some guys on our team, the Chaos, this summer, who just can't do that balance anymore. They've now worked corporate jobs for 2 years. They're getting promoted. They can't take the time off. So definitely still lucky to be in a position and in a role where I can, and it's flexible enough to where I can continue to do both. But definitely I'm just either working or I'm in the gym working, So it's kind of how it works.
Yeah, and for face-off guys, it's not like you can just roll off the bus or the plane on Friday, Saturday, Sunday and be like, yo, I'm going to go 60%. It's like, unless you're facing off, hearing the whistle, working out, and eating well, sleeping well, like you're in for a tough awakening when you're playing top-level competition. So anyone out there who has aspirations of playing, like Nick's a perfect example. I always try to find time to invest in my game and my craft, and coaching is certainly a great way to do it because you're out there with the stick in your hand every single day.
Definitely, yeah. It's nice. The part I like about coaching is like we've got guys committed to play Division 3 through Division 1 at these clinics, and I'll put the helmet on and let the speaker go for a couple reps, and it's good just keeping the stick in your hands. And sometimes these guys who do stand up, they've been doing stand up their whole life now. They're getting really good. I only did stand up for 3 years in college because my first 2 was knee down. So it's still a good challenge. And obviously I like doing those stand up reps because in the pros, I'm most likely going to be knee down. But it's good to have that skill set ready if I ever do need it, if I'm going against a pole or someone where I need to get out quick.
Yeah, and I've felt the same way. Like, high schoolers and college kids that come to my sessions can beat me sometimes, stand up, and like there's no shame in that because if I went down on a knee, it might be a different story. But like in games like even the championship, when Mike Sisselberger's standing up and I feel like maybe I have an advantage when the ball's on the ground, that's negated if I face off on my knee. Like I've had the ability to switch in between the two. Talk to us about why, and you're kind of one of the pioneers who really did it first. Knee down, neutral grip. It wasn't super popular. Now, like I've even adopted it in some of my matchups in the NLL because I think it's a little easier to exit. But what kind of made you hone in on that and allow you to have success with it, both in the PLL and NLL?
Yeah. So the reason I went back down to the knee is because I feel like I can be a little lighter on my hands and just a little bit quicker. And every millisecond you get counts when you go against guys who have top notch hand speed. The reason why I stuck with the neutral grip is you kind of touched on it. I think it's a little easier to exit. You're able to kind of exit through counters a little easier, in my opinion.
Yes.
And everyone right now is so good at counters. Counters weren't even a thing. My freshman, sophomore year of college, it was knee down, clamp. You don't get it, you're chasing someone going out the front. But now everyone's so good at countering that I think it gives you a bit of an advantage when you're trying to exit. Also, I like to rake every now and again. Less so in the NLL because
you start further away.
Yeah, you start further away. It's kind of a hard move to do, but in the PLL, I like to mix in a rake here and there. And if you're clamping neutral grip every time, there's just no way that they can tell or kind of predict that. So on top of that, like I would go against the same guys, motorcycle grip versus neutral grip. And I didn't feel like my hand speed really was any different. So I think there's still some advantages to motorcycle grip. I think your clamp might be a little stronger.
Yes.
Especially like through a back shovel. You're able to kind of pin that ball down rather than getting ripped right through. But for me personally, like the neutral grip just makes sense. I'm not a muscle face-off guy. You know, I'm 190 pounds, and you go against guys in the league that are 200 plus, you know, every week. So I kind of bank on my speed on both my feet and my hands. So that's kind of why I stuck with the neutral grip.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I'm glad you brought up the rake. You and Stephen Kelly are probably the two best rakers I've ever gone against from your knee. Like you can't tell when it's coming, and then it like, especially with the quick whistles, it's like bang, the ball's out and live, and like, yeah, you're quick on your feet. So if that ball gets moving, like, and you're on your knee, like I was, you know, when we played last summer, I'm like it's out, like he's got it, and it gives you opportunities for fast breaks to catch people off guard and to get them out of the flow. So I think any of you guys listening, like whether you know you're facing off knee down or not, whether you get to play some box lacrosse where you are allowed to go on your knee or some international ball, like great thing to have in your arsenal, because Nick's really proven like if you can add some versatility to your move set, to your exits, your counters, like it'll make you a lot more dangerous. Background, just how long you've been at Face Off Factory, how you got involved, and tell us a little bit about what you've had going on with FOF South the past couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. How I got involved was TD was coming up to Michigan every now and again to hang out. And so we'd get reps when he'd come. Obviously, you know, that's a good resource to use when he's up there. So started taking reps with him, and then he reached out saying that that they're bringing on coaches. This was kind of right as NIL was unrolling.
Yeah.
So you guys were trying to figure out how to allow college players to make an extra buck here and there, you know, because they're playing full time. They can't work really a real job while also promoting Face Off Factory. So that's kind of how I got involved in Face Off Factory. I've been thankful since, because I'm still coaching, still taking some of the things that I've learned when PD was coaching, that I've learned when at these national events where I get to see from all the other coaches what drills they're doing. So it's been awesome to kind of help because I take all that stuff with me and teach to these guys here in Atlanta. But like you touched on, our Face Off Factory South, what we've been going on, we got a good crew here in Atlanta. It's been fun now that I've been here for 2 years. I've seen guys like Carter Fears, for example. You know, I got him. He was uncommitted, you know, still kind of sharpening some pieces in his game. And he actually yesterday posted he was first team All-State, you know, and now he's going to Tufts next year. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. You know, growing up, my coach was Chris Mattis, who played on the
man.
Yeah. Oh, great dude. If you ever get a chance to meet him. But I'd always thought it was so cool when I was in middle school, high school. Like, I got this pro guy teaching me. Like, he's at the top of his game. So being able to kind of do that to kids, and hopefully, because he was who I looked up to all my high school. I was like, I want to be like him. So being able to maybe even just a little piece of that kind of resonate with some of those kids and give back is something that I love. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, what's your favorite story that you're willing to share?
My favorite,
yeah, in one of the national events, whether it's with the coaches, the kids.
Oh, I mean, Vegas is always a blast just because we have so many kids. I'm not from out there. I almost never go to Las Vegas, so it's a cool environment. Almost none of my Atlanta guys come, so I'm teaching all these new kids the same stuff I've been teaching the guys in Atlanta, but it's new to them because I'm bringing on a different mindset. On top of that, just like whenever we are in Vegas, I mean, you can attest, you get that big hotel room, and honestly, my favorite part is just when we all go back after a long day and we're just sitting there talking it out, just like chopping it up is kind of my favorite part of the national event that I've been able to go to. Love playing cards, you know, like we were playing Boo-Ray or some other stuff in Maryland, but I think at the Summit Apex one. But no, anytime we're off the field, anytime where we're just hanging out and just debriefing, and we all got the same issues going on, and it's fun to just kind of like chop it up.
Yeah, in Vegas, we stay at this place, Suncoast, and they give us like the presidential suite for booking through them, and it's like a great spot for like, they got a TV, they got some big couches, a huge table that we can all sit at, and like we order food, we just relax after a long day. There's a lot of ball busting going on, a lot of laughs. We kind of recap some of the funny things that happened throughout the day, or funny things kids said. So those are definitely priceless moments. We'd love to give you guys a peek behind the scenes. Maybe next year we'll have Tyrell, Coach Hammer, do one of his vlogs or something, so you can kind of see what the coaches get up to and some of the things we laugh about. But yeah, that's all good stuff. I'm having flashbacks. Suggestion for parents, now you're coaching, like you're from Virginia. It's more of a hotbed than where you're at now. Atlanta, I think, has come a super long way in the past 10 years, and a lot of kids get recruited out of there. But what do you think for kids from the South or other non-traditional hotbeds? Like, what could they be doing just to ensure they get the same type of exposure and looks that we see some of the kids from, Long Island or Philly or Maryland get?
Yeah, I think like going to these national events that we put on gives them Winter War. That's the one I was thinking of. I get all my guys from Atlanta and the South, and the one time I was able to coach it, we lost in the championship. But it gives these guys a platform to face off against the guys from Long Island, the guys from Philly, the guys from Baltimore, from DC. So being able to do that in front of some coaches as well kind of makes them take a step back and although these kids are from the South, they know what they're doing. They're not just going against crappy competition all the time. There's still some of that down here that's still filtering through, but
it's like that in Massachusetts too. Like if you play in any of the public school leagues, you have some cupcake games.
Right, exactly. So being able to do that and then getting involved with a club team always helps. I mean, for me, growing up, I played for VLC and we were sort of new. We were brand new growing up, but we were entering in these big tournaments. And as a face-off guy, it doesn't matter what the score is if you're trying to get recruited. As much as I hate doing this as a competitor, the goal of playing club is obviously to win as many games. But as a face-off guy, even if you're not on the strongest team, if you can just go against top guys in the country, you can put yourself on that platform. So that was how I got recruited out of high school. Is my team wasn't that great, but we were entering in all these good tournaments. So I was able to go against, Mike Sisselberger, James Riley, Jordan Ginder, just some of the guys who were top ranked when I was growing up and I was a nobody. But being able to compete against those guys is all you need, is just an opportunity.
Right. And I think that's great advice. If you're going to play club, make sure you know what tournaments you're going to be at and if they're attended by college coaches, right? Nobody wants to waste their time playing it on dirt fields in the summer when nobody's watching. But also, right, if you can come to some of the stuff that we put on, it gives you a great benchmark of where you're at versus other top competition. You can grab awesome film if you're going against those guys, just like Nick was able to. And if you can hang with some of the quote unquote big dogs in your class, you're going to get noticed. And I tell kids this all the time. Nick and I probably both have countless talks or recruiting calls with kids and parents. If you're putting yourself in a position where you're working as hard as you possibly can and you're playing high level competition and doing reasonably well, somebody's going to see you. Good kids always get recruited, right? And that being a good kid means academically you're strong, off the field you're strong, and you're good in your community, but on the field too. And those three things, if you check those boxes, it's going to be hard to just ignore that and miss you in the recruiting process. And rarely do we see kids who are good at all three of those things or in those areas. Do they not get recruited and end up at a good spot?
100%. All the kids that I work with who I know that they're putting in time outside of just face-off factory, and I know that they care about school and just being a good dude, they're all getting looks right now. So yeah, just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, we both have kids who are, going to high D1 schools because of that, right? And it's very simple. The kids who work the hardest and put the most time in, especially at the face-off dot and expanding your game a little bit, are gonna make noise.
100%. Yeah, one that breaks my heart is Gavin Gartner. I worked with him outside of Face-Off Factory even a couple of times. He calls me on September 1st. I just committed to Ohio State. I'm
bro,
couldn't have picked a worse school, my man.
I know, right? Big Ten champs, but they're Michigan's rivals. So
yeah,
you won't.
I'm happy for him, but I'm pissed off too.
Yeah, that's right.
Just because I have to go watch him beat Michigan up for 4 years, you know?
Oh yeah, I have one of my boys. I've worked with him since he was in like third grade. I tell a funny story. There was one time we're like taking reps. It's like raining in New Hampshire. There's not a ton of kids. He's younger. I pop it forward on him and he goes to like check me, like a back check. Hits me, my tooth goes almost through my lip. I'm like bleeding. I'm like, dude, I don't have my helmet on. What are you doing? September 1st comes, Rutgers like in-home visits him and he decides to go to Princeton. I'm like, bro, that is their biggest rival in state. What are we doing? No, but we're always happy for the kids, regardless of where they go. Obviously, everyone has their own fit. We would never push people just in the direction that's biased for where we went. We want
100%. I'm still happy for him and his family.
Yeah,
it does hurt. I'd be lying if I said it didn't sting.
Yeah, and then how did you get into lacrosse? Like, what's kind of a quick snapshot of your journey?
Yeah, my dad played basketball growing up, so I played basketball and football like Kiwi all the way up until high school, essentially. And then I realized like, hey, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the tallest, you know, but like I love hitting people, I love getting up and down the field, like I love the physicality that both of these sports have. So like, I think it was third or fourth grade. My dad signed me up for lacrosse. You know, we're looking like little bobbleheads out here in all of our gear, but instantly fell in love, quit basketball the next spring just so I could play lacrosse. You know, still a new sport at that time in Virginia, not a ton of people playing. But just kind of figured like lacrosse is so cool because it's a sport where you can literally be any shape or size and still be successful. I mean, like the example that comes to my head is like you got a attackman like Zed Williams, who's great, and you got a attackman like Mikey Sowers, who's also great. And they're completely different. Their play styles are so different, and they can both succeed at this game. And just like knowing that and just knowing like, hey, if I work hard, I can create an opportunity for myself, kind of pulled me towards lacrosse.
Yeah, you look at Cornell this weekend. I'm watching the Ivy League championship. You know, both teams are scoring a lot of goals and like watching Cornell's offense. And obviously, CJ Curse is like probably the best player in the country, right? He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he can shoot both hands. And then like on his attack line, he's got Ryan Goldstein, who they said, I was like, what? Like, I think he's 150 pounds. And like he was putting up points this week. Mm-hmm. Right. He's not a big dude. He's got great hands. He's smart. He's slick around the cage. And like, that's to your point. Like, it's crazy to see some of these kids, and especially face-offs, right? Like, not always do you have to be the biggest, strongest, and fastest. Like, if your hands are quick, your feet are quick, and you're good off the ground, like, there's a ton of kids making noise divisions 1 through 3 who are all shapes and sizes. So, you know, yeah, I mean, we always say, yeah, you love seeing it. We always say face-off zone's an awesome resource. Like, I commend Mr. Bodner for cutting all those games up, but it's like, I did a lesson with a college kid today prepping for the NCAA tournament, and he was like, yeah, you know, some of my classes aren't as tough. So, like, I'm on face-off zone all day. I'm like, dude, you probably should be paying attention. But, like, that's a great way to study and find some things that work. And he's a lot better than the last time I saw him before the season because of a lot of those things.
Yeah, no, definitely film's a big piece of that.
All right, now rapid fire. Let's get to know you a little bit. Favorite book?
Oh man, don't have one. Can't remember last time I read a book. That sounds bad, but TV show. I'm watching Severance right now. That one's good.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, so I just got to season 2. Not going to spoil anything, but little tricky, little suspense. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. What about movie?
One that came on. I have 2 of that I just go to that are just my all-time favorites, and that's Wedding Crashers and Limitless. You know, different, but so cool. Like Wedding Crashers is just hilarious all time, and then Limitless is about that guy who takes that pill and just becomes like superhuman.
I've seen it. I thought it was sick too. It's crazy.
Yeah, like, I think it's Bradley Cooper is the guy actor. Yeah. Oh, great movie. But those are up there.
What about other sport outside of lacrosse?
NFL has got my heart, but hanging
Yeah.
out with all the Canadians throughout the NLL season, I've developed this love for hockey too. And my Capitals play tonight at 7, round 2, game 1. So I'll be tuning into that at 7 as well as the PLL draft. But definitely NFL and NHL.
Yeah, anyone who doesn't like hockey, lacrosse guys, even if you don't play hockey, you should be watching the NHL playoffs because that's like what it takes to win at the highest level in any playoff setting. I think I'm the same. I love hockey and football too, like especially as a spectator. I think they're great sports. What about fun facts? You got any of them?
Fun facts. I'm blind in my right eye. That's my go-to. Um, and I love ping pong. Those are my go-to fun facts.
So ping pong would be your hobby outside of lacrosse, your favorite one?
I love golf too, but ping pong, something about like competing one-on-one with the person across from you. I can't tell you how many
Yeah.
games my brother and I have played, and they just end up just like we're pissed off at each other because only one guy wins. It's similar to
Yeah.
honestly kind of like a face-off. One guy wins, takes all the glory.
Yeah, and we grew up with a ping pong table. I'm the third best in my house. My dad and my brother used to give me the hand, so like it wouldn't be atop my favorites list, but I do like it. It's a lot of fun. I love when I'm winning. I hate when I'm losing. What are some things you don't like?
Like foods,
Could be food, other sports, hobbies people have, pet peeves.
other sports. I can't stand the NBA. I know it's even playoffs right now, and I'm still just having such a hard time following. Maybe that's because I'm like a Wizards fan, and it's just been unexciting there for like as long as I've been alive. Um, some of my lacrosse pet peeves are like eye black that's not on their face. Like, why do you have eye black on your shin or calf? Not quite sure. Still figuring that one out. Um, other things I don't like: mushrooms. Can't do mushrooms on pizza, in a cheesesteak. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's a kind of. I don't mind them on pizza, and I actually do like mushrooms. But yeah, cheesesteak, I think it takes over a little much. Anything besides onions and peppers and cheese, not for
Right.
me. What's the biggest piece of adversity you've had to kind of go through along your journey?
Um, there's two that come to mind. One is just injuries. I mean, unfortunately, lacrosse is a physical sport. You play on turf. Injuries are just going to be part of the game. So my freshman year, I tore my ACL the week before our first game. I just got the starting spot. I was so pumped. I was grinding all fall. My freshman year at Michigan, tore my ACL in practice the week before, so missed the whole season and that whole next fall. But the kicker was I tore my labrum in high school, and my coach was like, "Hey, we don't want you to come back healthy and then hurt your shoulder again. So we're gonna have you get both surgeries." So my freshman year, I got ACL surgery, and then the week
Huh.
I got off of crutches, I was in a sling because I had shoulder surgery. So that was like a full year recovery, literally like almost to the date, 12 months. Um, and then came back sophomore year. That season got cut short because of COVID, but junior year, I was a honorable mention All American. So sometimes everyone says like injuries suck, and they do, but you gotta find a way to let it motivate you, and it's got to be one of the hardest things because even now I'm coming off of a meniscus surgery. I missed almost this entire NLL season, but you got to find a way to let it motivate you. So that's one of the biggest pieces of adversity that I've kind of faced and tried to overcome. And the second one was also has to do with injuries. I sprained my collarbone against Delaware my senior year. And like I said, this is coming right off of my All-American season. I was a captain on the team, senior, like this is going to be my year. And we had this sophomore come in for 3 games while I'm out, named Justin Wheatfeld,
Yeah.
who absolutely crushes it for 3 games. I think he was over 60% against all 3 opponents. And I come back healthy. I'm like, all right, let's go. And our coach's like, hey, we're going to rock with Justin for a little while. Like, he's hot. And as a senior, as a captain, that killed me, because but I can't let it because I got to lead. I got to lead. That's my main job. Winning is before playing. So figuring out how to lead off the field for a couple of weeks while we worked back into kind of working together rather than him taking most of the reps was definitely tough, but I learned something from it, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of kids who get put in that situation, whether it's in college, and so many kids are quick to hit the eject button and be like, "Oh, after this, I'm going in the portal." It's like, no, you got to battle through that stuff. Like when I came to Rutgers, there was 3 other faceoff guys in my class, right? And like we were doing, it was war every day, and like luckily they were good dudes, and we found ways to be good buddies off the field and never like affected our relationship outside of that. But like, yeah, it's tough, man. Like I didn't start out as being the guy. Like I was the third D midi my freshman year, and like I'm taking 3 or 4 runs a game, getting dodged on by like the best shorties on the other team.
Yeah.
Like that's never fun. But yeah, the injuries, like I'm sure you get questions about it. I get questions about it all the time. Like shout out to anybody who's torn their ACL or gone through something like Nick or I've had to go through. It's tough, but he said it perfectly. You got to find a way to let it motivate you. And sometimes there's like always hidden blessings in that process that teach you lessons on how to be better, stronger, and more skilled going forward. You get a lot of time to focus on yourself and improving, and you really just got to commit to the process and trying to do even more than they set out for you in the rehab process. And that's the only way to come back like at better than full strength. And like Nick, I've done my ACL twice. The second time, not only did I find out I tore my ACL, like I got cut from Team USA, and that same day, like I got to the airport 4 hours early because I took the team bus, and I'm bummed out. So I take a nap with my headphones on, and I miss my flight. It's like I'm hobbling around. I end up having to spend a night in Atlanta. Like I'm carrying my bag. I can't even walk. My knee's blown up. Like it was a new low. And I ended up coming back just by really working hard, sticking to the process, being diligent every day. And like, we went to the finals in my first season back in NLL. We went to the finals in PLL. I lost in the gold medal game with Team USA box. And like those 3 things, like obviously I'd love to have those rings, but I'm super grateful for getting the opportunity to even be playing in those games following an injury.
Yeah, no, 100%. Just like add to that, like I'm sure you were probably doing something similar, but when I can't walk, I'm sitting in a chair doing wall ball. Like you got to find a way. You got to if you care, you're going to. So, and when I'm in the sling, I'm doing leg press. I'm doing what I can. It's funny. I always say like this is now my second time injuring my knee, but I'm always going to come out built like a Dorito, just all muscle up top and just skinny down low. So, but you got to do what you can. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is funny because like kids are always like, when can I start taking face off? And I'm like, well, your therapist will probably tell you like 4 or 5 months, but you probably can like get some half clamps in like on your butt or like one knee. I remember, bringing the little sling chair that I would sit in when my knee would get sore, but like I'd be facing off on the ground with kids, like just working on my hands and technique, like even when I'm in my brace. And maybe
Right.
I hope my therapists aren't listening because they probably wouldn't be very happy about that, but you can always push the limits a little
bit. Yeah, I got to agree with you there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then development, our last kind of section of the episode today. What's your favorite drill or most effective drill you think face-off guys can do to get better?
For me, anything hand speed. That's kind of my game almost, if I have to say. Like, so my favorite thing is kids come up to me, Coach, how to get faster hands. What I like to do is set you down, and it's just whistles. There's gonna be quick ones, it's gonna be long ones, but it takes away all of the anticipation from hearing the down set. You start maybe rolling, leaning a little bit. We're just reacting on that whistle. So you just train your brain. Every time you hear the whistle, you're snapping over that ball. That's one of my favorite drills. And one of my new favorite drills, shout out Coach Poma down in Tampa. He taught me this one. So if you got a big group, you number out your moves. You got clamp 1, rake counter, or rake 2, fish hook 3, and reverse shovel 4. And you got your one side facing you, so you can hold up the number so they know what move they're doing, and the other side just has to clamp. So on the one side, you get to practice all your moves, and on the other side, you get to clamp against 4 different moves. So you get to work on every part of the face-off, which has been a lot of fun. I've been incorporated that in a lot of my recent sessions.
That's good. I like that one a lot. A new one we did last night in Massachusetts was rather than just like we were finally on an open field. I've been trying to transition to getting some more space for the guys because our Monday group tends to get a little big. And rather than just doing like half clamps versus clamps, we would do 5. And on the 5th one, it was groups of 3. The third guy was standing like 15 yards away. You're popping it forward. You're taking 2 steps hard, you're veering to the right like you're drawing the point man, then you're throwing a pass. And it's like a 3-man rotation. So you get some technique coupled with some stick work. We mixed up the exits. We did some like touch passes for fast breaks out of defensive exits. We did some switch hands, throw it lefty, but like they got 20 to 30 half clamps and a few different sets of passes they'd see in a game. And I thought that was pretty cool. And the kids like that one too.
Definitely. If I ever got the space, I'll definitely use that one as well. I like that.
Yeah, most important thing kids can be doing on their own outside of working on their speed.
Oh, stick work. This is
100%, right?
You asked about pet peeves earlier. I don't know how I forgot this one. My biggest pet peeve ever is when a face-off guy can just face off. They can't pick up a ground ball. They can't throw with their offhand. They can barely catch. Their head is bent so far and so pinched where they're just useless on the field. They can just set picks, do wall ball. Like now everything's getting so specialized where high schoolers are just facing off. I encourage all high schoolers to do what you can to get on the field as much as possible, whether you're in man down or you're on D-midi or you're just if you're subbing on to just clear the ball, do it. Get on the field, develop some skills outside of that face-off X because it's only going to help you down the field or down the line. I can't stress that enough. I try to end most of my sessions by telling kids to work on wall ball. We're there to face off and work on face-off skills, and that's something they got to do on their own in order to really elevate their game.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you're not one of those guys who can get on the field in a game because maybe your team doesn't have that role for you, like beg your coach to let you be on the scout team offense during practice. Like go against the starters, get slashed, get to play with the ball in your stick. Like that's how I kept my stick skills up in college, even though we did some transition and subbing plays. Like I was one of the dudes on the scout team like every week, and I'd get to be, Tom Schreiber when we played Princeton and whatever. And, I got to work on all those things, run their sets, and that's a way I continued to work on my game. And, a cool example right now, like a kid that trained with us when he was younger, Parker Hoffman, is at UNC, and he's got Brady Wambach in front of him, who was, 2 years in a row, he's top 5 in the country in win percentage. Like they ain't taking that kid out.
Right.
Unless he violates. But Parker plays on the wings because he scored, I saw he scored against maybe Duke, and I was like, what, 4 or 5 goals this year? Like he's a faceoff guy playing on the wings because he's athletic, fast, and can handle the ball. So like that's a perfect example of finding a way to get on the field by being versatile.
Yeah, just to touch on that, my in high school, the other faceoff guy on our team was a year older than me, and he was committed to Christopher Newport, top D3 program. And sometimes we wouldn't really play anyone great. So we're both getting reps. And when we weren't taking the face-off, we were on the wing because we know how face-off guys act. We know how they pop the ball out. We know how to anticipate where those exits are going to be. So, yeah, to your point, like good on Hoffman for being able to figure out a way to be useful and add value to his team.
For sure. What did you guys do? Like anything out of the norm when you were at Michigan to help the face-off guys develop like their entire game? Because like obviously they've had a good run of good face-off guys who can handle the ball too.
Yeah, I think it's just a heavy emphasis on stick work. Like our whole 8-hour sessions in the fall, we don't even we don't even put the ball on the ground. We don't even face off. We've been facing off all summer, and it's still a long way out from the season. We're just stick skills. Even in our like individual sessions at Michigan, when it was just the face-off guys, we were doing stick work and ground balls, nothing as far as face-off goes. And that just kind of like, one, it develops your skills faster. But two, kind of emphasize it like before you're a face-off guy, you're a lacrosse player. Before you're a lacrosse player, you're an athlete, So you got to be a lacrosse player and an athlete before you can be a face-off guy. As far as like what face-off drills that we did that I thought really helped is whenever we were having like games where let's say we didn't exit great or we missed a couple GBs, we would do face-offs in the crease. And you have to pick the ball up before it exits the crease. And the other face-off guys who weren't a part of that one-on-one, their job was to keep that ball. So if it starts rolling, their job is to kick that ball in.
That's cool.
So now you're facing off, trying to exit and keeping it tight. And if you miss it, or if that ball rolls, you're working on boxing out or goosing it around, but keeping it in close quarters. Because, I mean, the older you get, the faster guys get in off those wings. You only get so much space before it turns into a 3-on-3 ground ball. So that was one of my favorites, just kind of outside of developing like technique. It's just like being a dog, like in that 5 to 6 yard circle you got. Some other stuff we did was just like facing off, and as soon as you pick it up without cradling, you had to pass it. And just working on getting your eyes up as soon as you get that ball, because so many times you're scooping it and getting checked right away, and then the ball's back on the ground. So as far as like outside the face-off, anything where you can develop those skills, whether that's off the ground, whether that's getting that ball in and out of your stick quickly. Those are some of the stuff. That's some of the stuff that I still work on today. That has lasted with me.
Yeah, those are great, Rex. For any of you guys listening, write that stuff down. And then strategy/scouting advice. If someone's going against somebody they know is going to be a tough matchup, what do you got for them? Like, what's one of your go-to tips for figuring out an opponent?
Yeah. Personally, I don't really look at the hand speed because it's hard to judge. You never know when a guy is like slow or just reacts slow or doesn't hear the whistle. I try to take away tendencies. So if one guy really likes the defensive exit, or one guy really likes to get to his back right shoulder, I'm going to make sure that my counters are going to counter whatever exit he likes to do. So if I lose a clamp, obviously that's never the goal. But if I lose a clamp, or let's say I see a guy who is a top out of his game, but he had one game where he didn't do so great, I'm going to watch that game and figure out what that guy was doing. If he was mixing up his moves all game, I'm going to try and do that. Because clearly that worked in the past, and this guy might not have an answer for it. But it's more so, in my opinion, tendencies. Like, where are they putting their wings? Are they all the way up? Are they all the way down? Where are their wings successful? When they have space, when they're hip to hip. And then what are his favorite exits? Do I need to make sure that I'm stepping out of line to not get fast broken? Or does he not really go at the front? Is he between his legs, possession over fast breaks every time? So that's kind of what I scout. I don't really dig too deep into the reaction time, how fast he's getting the clamp, because that's just hard to judge on film.
Yeah, and it's such a day-to-day thing, right? Like, you see it now being in the pros. Like, some days you're going to be dialed in and on the ref, and other days the other guy might be a little more dialed in. And that's why it's important just to be prepared for everything, know where they like to go with the ball, and just try to focus on being your best.
Yeah, and then I like to watch if the face-off guy is the one that's picking it up, or a wing. I like to watch until that ball leaves their stick. Maybe this face-off guy's got a terrible left hand. I'm just gonna overplay his right, try and force him to throw with his left hand, even if he's wide open. Try and force it or something like that. If I can put him in a position where he's not great at it, after the face-off, and maybe turn like a face-off loss into a turnover or a new possession for us. All power to you. But those are kind of the things that I look for.
Love it. Last question: what do you like better, the NLL or PLL?
Oh man.
You can say both and give me like what you like best about both if you don't want
to. I think I have to, just to make everybody happy.
Business decision.
Yeah, business decision. My favorite part about each league, we'll do that. In the NLL, I love the home cities. When you're playing in front of your city, you really feel like everyone there is rooting for you, and everyone there hates the other team.
Hates them.
Versus in the PLL, where you just get lacrosse fans. It's still great, and it's so awesome to have fans, because it wasn't the case in pro lacrosse like 10 years ago. It wasn't really to this level, but having a home base and like actually playing for a city, and I know the PLL was kind of getting that direction. But in some of these markets where, like Fairfield, for example, you're playing, but all these fans are in 8 different colored jerseys on the sideline. They just want to see goals, So that's definitely one of my favorite parts about the NLL is like you're really playing for the people, and if you're not playing well, they're gonna let you know. They're gonna scream at, especially being in Philly. That's a brutal.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But my favorite part about the PLL one, I mean, it's so cool to play with my brother again. That's something that I'll always cherish. Um, but also, you know, it's in the summer, the vibes are high. I grew up playing field lacrosse. It's like what I'm most comfortable with. Um, so I just love that aspect. And as weird as it sounds, like there's only 8 teams in the PLL, right? One faceoff guy per each team. Like competition's way tighter, you know. You got to
It
focus
is.
up. Like if you're not in the top 8 of your game, then there might not be a roster spot for you, and that's just reality. Versus in the NLL, you got 15 teams. You know, like you may get traded, you may get dropped, you may get added a little bit easier. At least right now, that's the case. But I kind of love how competitive the PLL is. You know, 19-man roster. If you don't dress, you don't get paid, and that's just the way it is. So kind of just that grind is what I love about the PLL. How about you?
I got a funny story before we get there. When we played the Wings, Nick was actually out. So they didn't have a real face-off guy playing, and we won the game. And someone said like the New Jersey Devils were coming in. I think we played, earlier the day or late. Flyers played before us, whatever. The New Jersey Devils stuff was around, and someone's like, "Did the Flyers beat the Devils?" And the guy working goes, "Nah, they lost again, just like the Wings." So to your point, the fans there are tough, right? Like if you're not playing well, you're gonna hear about it.
Oh yeah, they'll boo us in the second quarter. We're like, guys, we're down 3.
Yeah, right. Like,
But it
come
doesn't
on.
matter. They need instant gratification. But
Yeah.
I love them too because when you're winning, they'll ride with you too. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think my favorite part of the NLL is getting to play in Canada. They have a real love and appreciation for box lacrosse. Not that the US doesn't. Like, even in Philly, Nick has a great fan base. In Albany, we've seen it come a long way in just 4 short years, right? Like, we had our highest average. We broke the record twice this season for attendance. So like all that's cool. But like the Canadian cities are just like different, dude. Like they love lacrosse up there, and you get treated like you're in the NHL at a lot of these spots. So I think that's a really cool aspect of it. In the PLL, I'll second what you said on like the competitiveness. Like you got to be one of the top 8 guys in the world to be playing at the face-off dot. But I just love how like innovative and creative those guys are. That like specifically Paul and Mike and the entire team at the league. Like they are doing everything they can to push the game forward. And as like a fellow entrepreneur in the lacrosse space, like I really look up to that hustle and what those guys have done to spin things, right? And like, I'm from the MLL where my first contract was $6,000. And we played 15 games or so, and it was cool playing in Boston my first few years. Like I loved that. It was sweet living here. So like I was in market, I was connected to the fans. Like I would always stay after and do autographs. It certainly helped like build Face Off Factory in this area and get some brand recognition. But I think like they just made such a jump in the outdoor game, and it's really exciting to be a part of it. And like for kids, to really align with it, to get to watch it on TV and just really be true fans of it and know what's going on. Like I now have kids tell me like I watch every Whips game like at my sessions, and like nothing makes me more proud. So I think they're doing an awesome job influencing the youth, which is like a space you and I work in. So that's probably my favorite part of that.
100%, 100%. And just like what I love about both leagues is that I get to travel to places I probably never would have gone to,
Right.
just because we have a game out there, and the platform we're on allows us to go. Like I was just in Vancouver for the first time, and like I'd never been out there, but it's freaking sweet. Um, and then the PLL, like going out to San Diego in the summer, like it doesn't get better than that.
No. Are
So
those your 2 favorite cities? That like what's your favorite city you've gotten to play in each league?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I love playing in Carolina. They do a great job. Like, especially this last year, I thought that our
Yeah.
fans did the best job of making that our home stadium. You know, like there was a lot of red and black in the bleachers. And that field is cool. You get the whole skyline in the
Oh,
background.
it's sick.
I scored my first goal there, so that was pretty sweet. In the PLL. My favorite place in the NLL. I haven't got to play in Buffalo yet. I've heard that's like none other. Um, Playing in Vancouver was pretty cool. I'm trying to think. Yeah, probably playing in Vancouver and in Carolina. I just love Carolina. I grew up going to like the beaches over there. I'm from Virginia,
Yeah.
so that kind of feels a little bit like home. And then obviously we got the team affiliation. So for the PLL, I'd say that, and then the NLL is pretty cool to go out to Vancouver. Long
Did you go to
flight
the
from Atlanta.
Roxy?
But, what do you say?
Did you go to the Roxy when you were there?
Yeah, we made it. We made a pit stop on the way back.
Yeah. What about Cactus Club?
Yeah, I actually went there. That was my pregame meal. I think I had like a chicken wrap or something. But yeah, those are the two Vancouver staples right there.
Yeah, the Canadians love Cactus Club. I think the kids on my team go every city that we go to. They go to Cactus Club. It's such a good spot. Really healthy, good food. If anyone's up in Canada, I would say my favorites in the NLL, like Buffalo, is obviously great because of the fan base. I grew up in upstate New York, so it wouldn't be my favorite. It is like the best environment, obviously, with an average of 18,000 fans. Like it feels like you're playing in an NHL game, and the bars are open till 4, so it tends to be usually a pretty good time. But I think like Halifax is sneaky, really sweet. Like that's a cool maritime ocean type town. Vancouver's awesome. I think Calgary and Saskatchewan, like the prairie cities, are also really cool. Like I would say
Definitely.
all the Canadian markets. I haven't been to Ottawa yet, but the others are pretty sweet. Toronto's obviously a cool city, similar to New York.
Yeah, I haven't been able to play in we played Halifax at home, Sask at home. Calgary, like you mentioned, is cool. Their turf. I don't like how green it is.
Yeah, it's turquoise. It's
It's
not a good
turquoise.
look.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. It's the WestJet turf.
Yeah, funny enough, actually, after that game, I used to have white mesh, but after that game, I had to switch to black mesh because the center logo is like there's white around it. So I'd have the clamp and didn't even know I have it because
Yeah,
it's
you can't
so
even see the ball.
yeah. So I had to switch to black mesh so I could see the contrast to make sure that I actually had the clamp if I'm pulling it out. So people ask me like, dude, black mesh kind of dusty. Why are you using that? I'm like, believe it or not, it actually gives me a little bit of an advantage.
I don't blame you. I honestly think that's such good advice, especially some of the fields we play on, like, and in the summer, the logos are so big and they're white. It's like we're using the PLL. Fortunately, we don't use a white ball,
Right.
but indoor, it's like crazy. Sometimes you can't even find the ball, and it's nuts because like we've had a team run a hidden ball trick on us where they've left the ball on the logo. Someone pretends he has it and somebody else scoops it up and we've gotten scored on. Our coach obviously was very happy about it. But it's like, how do you even see the ball?
What are you gonna do?
It's slick. It's slick. Well, that wraps up what I got. Do you have any bonus question for me? Something you think the fans might want to hear?
Yeah. Face Off Factory national events. Where's our next spot going to be? That our next expansion spot, is that in the works?
Yeah, so we expand like San Diego and Albany are our two ads for this year. Albany's our
Awesome.
upstate overnight camp, and San Diego's the San Diego Classic. We have a great little foothold, or footprint, I should say, in Southern Cal with Coach Marino, and and the West Coast in general. We got Tyson Johnson doing Oregon, Seattle. We've been to Boise. We do Vegas, so I think that one will be really cool. Upstate's obviously close to where I'm from in upstate New York. The where TD has kind of built a good, nice little base in Rochester with Joe Post and Massachusetts. So I think that those are two that I think will be really cool first year camps for us that we're super pumped about. And then if you guys want to see Nick or I this summer, we'll be at the Face Off Summit, and then Nick's a maybe for National Overnight Camp, but we're hoping to turn him to a yes. But he'll definitely be at the Face Off Summit for all you high school guys looking for some recruiting help. We have an awesome slate of college coaches. I think we're close to 30 between divisions 1, 2, and 3. So it'll be our biggest year yet there. The summit is not sold out. Plenty of spots left. So we'd love to have any of you guys looking to take your game to the next level and play in front of some college coaches.
Sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, hope to be there. Got to see how many days of leave I've got left before my lady gets mad at me.
Yeah, I understand if you can, but thanks for hopping on. I really enjoyed the chat. We'll talk soon, my man.
Thanks for having me. Yep, sounds good. Talk soon. Peace.
Hey guys, Coach Nardella here. My tip of the week is to make sure you are watching the NCAA lacrosse tournament, divisions 1, 2, and 3. A lot of great face-off matchups, a ton of great games you could learn so much about. these tight battles and playoff situations and what like the gameplay that goes into it. So make sure you're getting your notepad out, take a peek at some games and have some fun.